Hey guys, and welcome back to your one room schoolhouse. If you are new here, my name is Mary Barfield and I'm a homeschooling mom to a kindergartner and a second grader. And today's video is going to be one that I've gotten requested quite a lot over the last couple of videos I've posted in the comments, as well as I've even gotten emails about this. And it is how we print the good and the beautiful at home. Now, the tips and tricks and things I'm going to talk about in this video are ones that can be applied across any type of curriculum printing, or frankly, any kind of printing that you're trying to do and bind and make look professional. However, in this video, there will be specific tips and tricks to the good and the beautiful specific files, because there's some things that you can do to make your printing experience much easier and a lot cheaper and more effective that I'm going to share with you. Now, just a quick intro. If you're not familiar with The Good and the Beautiful, it is a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum that they offer language arts and their math programs, the complete curriculum, for free from levels K to grade 8, which I think is a wonderful thing that they offer. However, you can also purchase them completely bound and printed and ready to go for you if that makes the most sense for your family. Now for us, I have a lot of the tools already needed: the printer, the binder, the laminator, which I will review with you what we use, because we got to go over the tools. The tools are just as important as the free curriculum itself. But for families like mine who have those resources in place already, or we've done the cost calculation and determined that investing in those tools upfront makes better sense financially for our family long term if you're going to use it for a long period of time, or you've got multiple kids and you can just print them off as needed for each kid every year, and all you're spending is ink and paper and some binding coils. So there's a lot of benefits to a lot of families, and it's so wonderful that the Good and the Beautiful provides this free curriculum for us, these core subjects that are imperative at a young age, trying to learn your language arts and your math in a homeschool environment. So let's talk tools. Number one, you need an inkjet or an ink tank style printer. I previously had a cartridge HP printer that I was paying monthly through their ink subscription for the cartridges to be sent to me whenever I was running out. I thought that was a really good deal. I was sadly mistaken. Once I bought my beautiful EcoTank printer, and I'll talk about that in a second, I realized how much more cost effective this printer is than that subscription that I was doing. It seemed effective, it seemed easy. It wasn't not easy, but it was not cost effective. Let's just say that now that I'm printing on this printer. So I know everybody in the homeschooling community talks about the EcoTank printer. And I am here to tell you, after using it for now about over 6 months, it is all that in a bag of chips. What everybody says about it, it truly is that good. The printing quality is beautiful on it, but the cost savings in the ink is insane. Y'all, it truly is that big of a cost savings with the ink bottles. It uses so little ink and it is so efficient in its printing. It's just, oh my gosh, like cannot say enough amazing things about it. You don't have to get an EcoTank, but you do not want to use a cartridge printer for this. You will spend way more than you would if you had just went ahead and bought the bound books themselves from The Good and the Beautiful. So I personally have the EcoTank, I always forget the number, 2850. It is a backloader, it's not the tray. I could have spent an extra $100 and gotten the one that has the tray. I personally don't really need that. I saved the $100. It scans, it copies, it prints double-sided, it prints color. Those are the big things that I wanted, and this did the trick. I bought it from Costco. I think at the time I got it, it was on sale for just under $200, but I think the same model with a full set of ink is going for just I think it's $219 on Amazon. I'll link it down below if you want my specific model, but honestly, any of the EcoTanks, as long as it double-side prints, as long as it does color, that's all you really need. Next, let's talk binding machines. Do you need a binding machine to print The Good and the Beautiful at home? No. You can use a binder. Get a 3-hole punch, put it in a binder, call it a day. If you want it to look nice and pretty and bound like this with the spiral, or with these little guys doing the books you kind of want to bind. You want it to make it feel like a book. You are going to want to get a binder. Now, there are tons of binding machines out there. They cost anywhere, I've seen them from $30 to like a couple hundred. I went somewhere in the in-between, and I am So happy with this purchase. I've had this well over a year now, and I bind everything I can. If I see something I can bind, I bind it. This is the GBC Pro Click series binder. The reason I went with this and not another binding machine is because, one, do you notice how thin and low profile this is? So easy to store. A lot of the big ones are big and clunky and they're huge, and you can't really store them that well, frankly. And the reviews that I heard are that they jam a lot. This has never jammed on me. It's super easy to use. I'm gonna do this and it's gonna make a loud, it's not that loud, but it's probably gonna be loud on the camera, so I'm gonna do it and stop talking. That's all you do. You roll it across and it makes all the holes for you that you need. It is basically a glorified 3-hole punch, except it does a lot more than 3 holes. And then you'll see here, you see all my little bits that I've popped out. There's a little thing here. I'm not gonna push the door off or else it would all fall out, but you just pull that out, you empty it out, put it back on, you're good to go. The only thing I would say that could be negative for people, which is not a negative for me because I've had no issues with it, it says that it can only do up to 6 sheets of paper, whereas the bigger binding machines, home binders, can do like 20. But again, that's the max. That's debatable for each model individually. I can still get the big language arts books hole punched within under 2 minutes. And I use thicker paper, so I actually tend to do just 4 sheets at a time. And I mean, I stick it in, I stick it in. I mean, it's like I am back and forth and it is done in no time. So that, I would personally rather do more hole punching for maybe an extra 30 seconds than have the big clunky binding machines. But again, that is just a personal preference for me. The other reason I like this specific model is this is a 1-to-3 ratio, and it has special spines that go with it. Other binding machines are a 1-to-4 ratio. What does that mean? 1-to-3 means it punches 3 holes every 1 inch of paper. The other binding machines will punch 4 holes, so they have more holes and they're closer together, whereas this has less holes and they're farther apart. And they fit specifically their Pro Click, and I'll link all this stuff down below for y'all. It fits specifically these Pro Click spines. Now I got a set of the 45 page, so it holds 45 sheets and 85 sheets. That works for actually a lot of what I need. But why these are special and why this sold me on getting a binding machine rather than just using binders. Here, let me get one of these out for you guys. So the coil, you'll see, I'm trying to make it so you can actually see it. It's like a binder and a spiral coil had a baby. That's the best way to explain it, because these click. You see that? You heard that? It clicks together. But guess what? Oh no, did you print something wrong and you need to put a new sheet in there? Unclick. It comes with a tool that actually helps make that easier to unclick them real fast. I like it because it doesn't feel so commitment to like what I'm putting in there. Like if I want to put something in and I want to take something out, or I need to add more pages, I'm not, oh gosh, I'm not going to ruin the spine by taking the spiral off and putting a new one in. These are reusable. How cool is that? The other great part, so these are 3-to-1 ratio spines, just so you know. The other cool part about this is that you can also use 4-to-1 spiral binding with it. So I bought a big box, y'all. I have so many of these. This is gonna last me until my kids are in high school. I bought a big box of big spirals. So this holds, I think, 175 sheets. So I use these if I need a really big binding, which frankly, I've only ever used it for this and a Blossom and Root Science manual because they were a lot of sheets. So that, or I can use one of my Pro Click spines for a 45 sheet, so a smaller, or an 85 sheet book. So honestly, between these 3 spines, it's covered me entirely for all of my printing and binding needs. So I like that you get the best of both worlds with this. It's small, it's thin, it doesn't jam, you can easily store it, but you can also use the big spiral coil spines, or you can use the Pro Click binder type reusable spine. So you get everything, it kind of covers all your bases. Next, if you are printing any of the books, the booster cards, or hold on, let me get these guys out. I have them in a little binder here. or any of the small booklets for Booster A or Booster B cards, you will need a paper cutter. Don't try and do it with scissors. It'll take 500 years and your lines won't be straight. If you want them to look nice and professional, you don't have to get the Cricut one. This is just one I had. I'll link it down below if that's what you're interested in. There's another one that I found online that if this ever goes, I'll probably get that one. But just get yourself just one of these. If you really want to get fancy, you can get one of the ones that slice down, you know, the old school public school. I remember my teacher lounges from when I was a kid, they had them, the big paper cutters, probably slice your finger off if you weren't careful. But get this, make a straight edge, make it pretty. Otherwise, just go ahead and buy it. Like truly, like get this, it'll be a lifesaver for you. Next, let's talk about paper. Paper quality matters. You can print all this stuff off standard copy paper, which I think is 20-pound paper, if I'm right. I think it's 20 pound. I personally found a in-between paper count that works perfectly but doesn't break the bank, because most people will tell you if you want it to look high quality, just like you bought it from the Good and the Beautiful, if that's important to you, go with 32-pound paper. However, there is a stark difference in the cost of what I get, which is 24-pound paper. So it's 4 more pounds than your standard copy. There is a big difference in price when you go from 24-pound to 32-pound. I found that 24-pound is perfectly adequate. You barely, I mean, there's not really even, I don't think there is any see-through. I mean, there's a teensy bit, but it's really like, it's not distracting. My kids have no problem with it. If you do 20-pound, there will be see-through. With 32, you have no see-through. But again, that's where the cost kind of starts to make not sense for me to print. So what I found is this printer paper is the way to go from a cost perspective. This big box. It's Amazon Basics. I'll link it down below because I can't hold this up that much. There's, I think, how many reams in here? There's 3 reams. This is 1,500 sheets of paper at 24-pound weight, and it's 97 brightness. This works fabulously. And I think it's on sale right now for $19.99. So for $20, you get 1,500 sheets. And for the poundage that it is, that's a steal compared to what I could find at Staples, Walmart, all those other places. So determine what's most important to you. If you're going for high quality and you can find a really good deal on 32-pound paper, do it. I think 24 is completely, I mean, it's perfect. It's doing great. You might see a little bit of a see-through on the back end, but again, it's not that big of a deal. It hasn't distracted my kids. It hasn't been a problem. So get you good quality paper based on your budget and what you're okay with from a printing quality perspective. And last but not least, and this is again an optional item, but for me, a laminator is key for longevity. I also kind of like the way it looks. I know that's kind of weird because it is glossy and weird, but like I kind of like having my front and my back pages laminated. It'll last you a lot longer. An alternative option, and I'll show you guys my laminator in a second, but an alternative option is that you can print the front and the back covers on cardstock, and that should last you longer than if you did like the normal paper. But I just personally, I have found that does not last us because I had done cardstock back and front pages. It doesn't work as a cover for me. So do the laminator if you want it to still look nice and clean at the end of the year, in my personal opinion. Now, the laminator we chose to go with, I really like it. I've had it for, I think, almost 2 years now. It still works great. It does hot laminating, cold laminating, and it's a bigger size. So I think I'm going to mess this up. It can do bigger than an 8.5 by 11. So I think that's the bigger one is A4, A5. I cannot remember. But basically it's a lot wider. So I can do bigger projects if I want to do more than just your standard 8.5 by 11. So that's why I chose it and I really like it. It also came with a built-in that you pop out a little corner clipper to round your corners so that it doesn't like stab your kid. So love my laminator. Okay, now that we have talked about all of the tools you will need, again, all of that's linked down below for you guys so you can see exactly the things that I have to use. You can obviously use whatever works for you, but that's what's worked best for us. Let's talk about the actual tips and tricks of printing the Good and the Beautiful products. So the first thing I will tell you is to go, if you have Facebook, by the way, please go and join the group TGTB Printing Helps. This should be your number one stop before you print anything from the good and the beautiful. And what you want to do is so many parents on there, thankfully, have put up how they do this printing for this or this level or this course book or this math book. It is all on there, step by step, how to print the most effective and best way. So what I would do is, you can search Facebook groups for post, search the post, and I guarantee you that whatever you're trying to print that day will have already been discussed, and an updated version of how to print it will be on there. There's amazing people in that group, so thank them all whenever you do use their step-by-step procedures. Number 2, and I learned this from that group, if you do not have Adobe Reader, because it costs money, I don't have it, and I also have a Mac, download Foxit Reader. Again, I'm going to link all this down below. I'll link the Facebook group. I'll link the Foxit Reader website. It's a free download, and it's basically a free Adobe Reader. You want to print from there because, especially with my Mac, it didn't allow me to do these special things with printing. It gives you more options and more control over how to print, what to print, where to print, all the fun things that you're going to need to do to print these books. So download Foxit Reader. I've actually been using it now for other things other than the good and the beautiful, so I'm kind of glad I found out about that program. Number 3, I've not had a problem with this because I printed before I found out about this, but apparently some people, depending on what kind of computer you have, and I think maybe the printer, if you don't click the print as image, it can leave off certain graphics or parts of the page, and it'll print, and all of a sudden you'll just have this blank space where a image should have been. I have not had that problem. However, ever since I learned about that, I have now been clicking the print as image. Like when I did my math, when I did the print as image, and I still haven't had any problems. So maybe that's, I don't know. Just do it as a safety precaution. It's not going to change anything in your printing as far as I'm aware. My next tip, and this is just for anything you're doing that has a big, large print job like these books, do not walk away from your computer until the print job is over. How many times have I done that and then regretted it? Oh my gosh, because then all of a sudden I'll realize it's printing something wrong, or it flips something, or the printer needs to have the printer head cleaned because I'm getting lines in my beautiful pictures from the good and the beautiful, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I clean the printer head? That's another one. Clean your printer, do maintenance on your printer because it'll do the thing, and then print. If you're about to do a big print job, especially if there's color in it. Like this has so much beautiful artwork in it. You want them to look nice and crisp if you're printing them at home. So talking about specific tips and tricks per the different books, let's talk about the big language arts course books. My number one thing that you need to remember to do, and this is with all of them, I think, for the most part, but I'm just going to remind you every time I talk about the different books, print the front cover by itself. Don't even do this on the back end. This will mess you up. Only print the first page. Then in a second one, again, I messed this up for this language arts. Then only print this page. Once you've done those 2 separate printing, then you can print the rest of the pages, whatever the second to last page is, page 2. You can do it back and front, double-sided. I couldn't think of the word. Then double-sided print the rest of the pages. If you do not print the front and the last page by itself, it will get your pages off. And what I mean by off is you will end up dealing with this. Here, maybe did I leave it in here so I can show you guys what I ended up doing? Learn from my mistakes, y'all. Oh, I didn't leave it in here. Stinker. Okay, so what can happen is that, especially in the kindergarten and lower levels, there are some pages where you need to cut because they're going to do cutting and they're pasting and they're working on those skills. And if you get it off, the printing off by one, what will ultimately happen is the page will end up being printed on the back of something that is not blank. And so if you cut, you're cutting into the next lesson. Whereas they have these pages in here, like that say, this page was intentionally left blank because on the other side, you're gonna cut, so you don't wanna cut into the lesson. So if you do not print that front page and the last page separately on their own, it will mess you up and you'll be off and then you'll be cutting into lessons. I did that, learned from my lesson. Thankfully, I only printed the first couple of lessons and it did that. I didn't do the whole book like that, but that would have wasted a lot of paper, y'all. So that's my number one tip when printing things for the good and the beautiful. The next thing that I would say is I think people are going to have 2 preferences when it comes to this. With these big books, this is only 2/3 of the book. I couldn't fit the third unit even in my big spiral. I don't know if they make spirals big enough, honestly. But also I think if I had added that, it would have just been such a big book for my kid to use. So this is what I would suggest. You're gonna bind only 2 of the 3 units, right? At any given time. So you can either print unit by unit as your kid's finishing them and then go print another unit, which I don't know. For me, I'd rather just print it all at once and have it ready to go, have it already hole punched. And then when my kid's ready to move on to the next unit, I'll go get it. And then I'll remove the first unit and put the last unit in here and bind it again. I'd rather have it all printed at once. So that's one preference. Print all your units at once. The second preference is some people just print 1 unit at a time. And that works best for them. So I think you kind of just figure out what works for your schedule. If you want to sit there for a while watching it print, it's like watching paint dry, but it's fine. It saves us a lot of money. Something I get asked about is like, well, how much did it cost to print one of these? I've done the approximate calculations for the full language art books. It was just under $4.50, all materials included, to print this. That does not include the upfront cost of the machines, though, the printer. That does include the ink, it includes paper, it includes the binding, it includes the laminating sheets, but it does not include the printer, the laminator costs, but those are one-time costs that I think are investments that well more than pay for themselves over the time and life period of your homeschool. So $4.50, this is normally a $30 book. And then I have 2 kids, so think about that double. It saves money. Especially when then you start talking about, I printed all this and that, and then the math book, and then the other books. It's a big cost saving. So that's what it cost. I didn't do the other ones because I'm like, if this big guy costs $4.50, I'm probably looking at $1 per book over here at the end of the day. Okay, now talking about these smaller booklets, right? These are not full-size pages, they're half pages. This is an actual book, a reader for level 2, and this is one of the booster card cards for technically level 1, but my kindergartner is moving into this because she just finished booster card A. So the big tip here is when you get into Foxit Reader or Adobe, whichever you decide to use, the way that you want to print these, again, print the front cover and the back cover pages by themselves. Then print the rest of it double-sided. But also, frankly, just go to that Facebook group, search, I need to print booster reading card B. And the step-by-step instruction will be there, what pages to do this, when to flip. I mean, literally people have gone through all that trouble to put exactly step-by-step how to do it, and it is perfection. So go check that Facebook out. But the big thing here is use the booklet function so that you're not having to print this in like full size, because that's a little odd, especially when you're doing the books. Like you want them to feel like they're chapter books to the learner. So do that. Do the booklet. And then again, just follow those instructions from the Facebook group. Now this, I can't even try to describe this to you. So for these tiny books that you print for the booster card A and B books, these guys, you have to follow the step-by-step instructions on the Facebook group. I literally don't even know how to tell you how to do it. I can follow the instructions, but this kind of gets technical. And this is where you need one of those paper slicers so that you're slicing them appropriately. But follow the instructions on Facebook. I'll link, if I can, one of the posts down below. But the problem is it's a private group, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it until you get approved to the group. So I'll try and link it down below. If that works, it'll be down there. And then last but not least, let's talk about the math. Math, you're printing it differently, right? Because it's side by side. It's a portrait. Landscape. So learn from my lesson. 1, print the front page, print the back page separately. 2, don't do what I did the first time I printed the first couple of lessons. Thankfully, it was only the first couple of lessons because I always like to try things out. You'll see here, this page is normal. If you flip it over, this page is upside down. Why? Because when I hit the double-sided, did not pick the double-sided flip on the short edge. Click that specific function for the double-sided printing, short edge. You want it to flip on the short edge, because when you do that, what happens is then it goes like this. Hold on, let me do this. This is a big book when you kind of open it like that. So it goes like this, and it'll flip on the short edge and then print this way, so you're not getting an upside down page. Okay, y'all. I was thinking about, I need to actually print some stuff. I was thinking about showing that on camera, but frankly, this video has gotten so long. I don't think it would make sense for me to include that because I'm pretty much just going to be following the Facebook instructions. So really my biggest tip is join that Facebook group and follow all their instructions for every individual book you're printing. That's my biggest tip. And then get really good materials and tools, of course. So with that, I'm not going to print. You guys have seen, I actually have a video, I'll link it up below, about how I do print things and laminate and all that stuff. I feel like you can go watch that video and you'll get a sense of how I do all that. But if you have any questions about anything I mentioned in this video, please leave them down in the comments. If this video was helpful to you in any ways, please hit that thumbs up button for me. And then if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button for all things amazing homeschooling. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.